All right, y'all. Hello from the past. I'm not here today. I'm out of town, but I'm going to help y'all kind of get started on this worksheet here. Most of the problems you solve exactly the same way, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Y'all should be able to finish the first 8 questions by the end of the class period. No problem. So let's look at this first one. It's telling us to determine the constant of proportionality for each table and write the relationship between x and y. Now, that was all in our notes yesterday, or on Wednesday. We haven't had time to put that into practice just yet, but here's what we need to remember. So first off, you should have your notes out. Second, we have 2 equations that we need, right? So k, right, which represents our constant of proportionality, equals y over x, all right? K equals y over x. We gotta figure out what k is for each of these problems, and we're gonna use that equation to do it. So that's how we determine the constant of proportionality, right? But we also need to write the relationship between x and y. Now that's just a fancy way of saying we need to write the equation. So all the equations are going to look the exact same, all right? They're gonna look like y equals kx. Now k, that's the only part of that equation that's gonna be an actual number, right? So you're calculating it. I'll show you all in a minute how to, and then you'll plug it into that equation right there. So it should be y equals a number, then x, okay? So in order to find the constant of proportionality, we need to use this little equation right here, k equals y divided by x. So this bottom half, right, this has y right here, right? So all of these are our y values on the bottom. And then up top, all of these are our x values, all right? So we need to pick an x and a y that are matching, right, that are on top of each other. So the easiest way to do this is to pick the smallest x and y combination, right? Which in this case happens to be 2 and 14, right? So we're gonna write k equals, and then a fraction bar, right? And then we're gonna put our y on top, like right here, and our x on the bottom, right here. So our y, right, we picked 14. So we're gonna erase that, put 14, right? Our 14 is our y value, and it's going on the top. And then we're gonna pick our x, right, which is on the bottom of our equation. This thing would work with me. K equals 14 over 2, all right? Now the next step is you need to divide 14 by 2, all right? If you do that right, it should give you 7. So our k equals 7, right? That's the first half. The second half is easy. Now that we know what our k is, all we gotta do is plug it in. So y equals, and instead of k right there, we're gonna write a 7 right here. So y equals 7x, right? And all that means is that 7 is multiplying times x. And that's it. That's all you have to do, right? So that's half your answer, that's half your answer. That's it. So I'll talk really briefly. We've talked about constant proportionality, we gave it a definition. Still doesn't really mean much, right? So if we look at all of our x's and our y's, in order to get from x to y, we multiply by 7, right? So 2 times 7 is 14. 11 times 7 is 77. So our constant of proportionality, that just tells us what to multiply our x by to get to y. So 4 times 7 is 28, and 9 times 7 is 63, right? So it just tells us our constant of proportionality is 7, so then we have to multiply 9 times 7 to get 63, right? And there's some questions on the bottom that will ask you to fill out some of these tables, all right? Also, something that will be helpful for those tables, after you figure out your constant of proportionality, you can go backwards with it too. So we know it's 7, right? So if we want to go from y to x, we can go up, and instead of multiplying by 7, we divide, right? Same number right there, but instead of multiplying to go from x to y, we divide to go from y to x. All right? So let's see. That should all be pretty self-explanatory. Numbers 5 and 6. These two confuse a lot of people today. But all you gotta do is realize all these are just numbers. This is an actual situation, right? So the situation is the number of pi and the number of fruit, right? You gotta figure out the relationship. So what we can do is we can put x over this one, y over this one, and do the same over here. X over y, or x and y, sorry. So you'll treat these as your x's, these as your y's. All right, so for this one, you're gonna do the same thing as above, find the constant of proportionality, and then use it to fill in the missing values, right? So whatever number you multiply 9 by to get to 36, you gotta figure out which number multiplies by that same one to get 16, multiply 5 by that number to get that blank, and multiply this blank to get to 8, all right? So, at the very least, y'all should have questions 1 through 6 done. This will be for a grade, all right? So questions 1 through 6, at the bare minimum, I have people get through the entire back page. So, try your best. If the sub leaves me a bad note, we'll take it from there. All right, and then I will see y'all next week.